So what's your...
Vas-y, c'est parti.
10, 9, ignition sequence start.
Hello, everyone. This is Loretta Stronowski from House Need House. We are a real estate organization that deals with realtors all across the globe. When you are ready to make that real estate transaction, we offer you as a bonus 10% of the realtor's commission as a credit on closing, because we know that when you are going through the wedding process, it's expensive, and we're just here to help you out. In the meantime, we have this podcast where we interview professionals all across the globe that have everything to do with your wedding. So today we have something that most people go through, especially now. I find that people travel someplace else for their wedding, and not only just like a couple hours, but sometimes right across the globe. And we have Amono Sharon, who is talking to us about travel. Can you tell us what inspired your journey into destination travel? And you also do event planning too, right?
Yep. I do. Great. Thank you very much. And good evening or good morning, depending on where you are. My name is Sharon Amono, as has been mentioned. I run a travel agency based in Uganda, a startup travel agency, very ambitious too, in Uganda. And we started off as the official accommodations booking partner, handling accommodation bookings for marathon travelers. Then we realized from the bookings that there's a lot of stress that comes with traveling from one place to another. And even for an event, like a sporting event or a wedding event itself, there's a lot of stress that comes with it. And so when we started booking accommodation, we realized that the travelers focused more on what was more important to them, which was really running the marathon, enjoying the destination, and creating partnerships, rather networks and community. So we figured, maybe we should keep doing this. So we take out the stress from travel so people enjoy their experiences. And basically that is why we went into events travel, marathon travel, and now weddings and honeymoons as well, because we realize the stress is more or less the same. And we like to take that out so people just enjoy their events.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I know I used to have a fantastic travel agent. Like if I said I wanted to go to England, she would find the most cutest places for me to stay, activities to do. And the keys were there. Like I just didn't have to do anything except get on the plane. She'd hand me all of my stuff printed. And then she got older and retired. And you know what, I kind of moved to trying to book everything through Expedia and whatever. And it's not always as reliable. Like I just booked a trip to Dallas, and I decided through Expedia or something like that. And I decided to go a day early. And when I called the hotel, they said, oh, you have to call them back because they have your booking. And they said they didn't have any room. And so I had to call the hotel back. It was just something that I didn't really want to deal with. You know what I mean? So I definitely see the value in having travel agents. So what did you do before you started your business?
I was and still am a lawyer. I have practiced law for yes. I have practiced law for 10 years. I started in 2015. So this year, 1st December, should be 10 years. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. What kind of law do you practice?
Human rights and access to justice, largely. So I offer pro bono services to survivors of sexual gender-based violence, and really the people that can't access justice because of the costs that are involved.
Oh, that's so amazing.
Thank
Wow.
you.
You are very well-rounded in what you do and your
Thank you.
your expertise. So tell me what it means to specialize in sports-based travel.
Well, it basically means that you get to understand that travel is not a background aspect, right? It is the heart of travel. It's the heart of the experience itself, right? Most times we focus on the ceremony, or we focus on, for example, if it's a marathon, on running the marathon itself. And so we forget the moving parts, the logistics, the accommodation. And that largely affects our experiences, our performances as well. And so I have learned that travel is a very crucial, it's like the fulcrum of the experience itself, because it can literally ruin everything. After you've trained hard for a marathon, after you've planned for months, your proposal and your wedding itself, the travel aspect can ruin your entire experience. You know, it could be a visa you didn't get early or you didn't apply for early. It could be an accommodation you didn't book early. It could be a trip that you didn't book early, or a guide you didn't get in touch early with, and that ruins the entire experience for you. You know, so for me, I have realized that everything has to be taken in tandem with the other. Even as you're planning your event, plan travel as well, because that is the heartbeat of your entire experience.
Of course.
Yeah.
So if I went into the elevator and you were in there and we had to go up to the 18th floor, and I just said, what do you do for a living? What would be your elevator speech?
It would be that I craft seamless travel experiences for sports travelers, event travelers, and now honeymoon travelers or couples. I take out the stress in travel.
Do you have a story of a wedding that was planned around a sporting event?
Not directly.
Okay.
But I have because I've been doing marathons for 2 years now, since 2023. We worked with the Rwenzori Marathon, which happens to be the largest or the biggest marathon event in Uganda now. We've worked with the Gulu City Marathon, and we've also worked with the Virunga Gorilla Marathon in Kisoro. Now, while I have not necessarily booked or rather curated a wedding around a sporting event, I have organized post-event trips, you know, because, for example, the Rwenzori Marathon happens in Kasese, which is literally the heart of tourism. Queen Elizabeth National Park is here. The Mount Rwenzori is here. So there are crater lakes, there are waterfalls and whatnot. So in our first year, which was 2023, the first person that reached out to us and was booking accommodation asked me, what else can you do? Or what else can I do if I come to Kasese? Because he was traveling with his family and for the very first time, and they were not coming to run. So for him, he was looking to blend the sporting event with an opportunity to also bond with his family and give them an experience beyond the sports as well. Mm-hmm. So what we did was curate a game drive and a boat cruise in Queen Elizabeth National Park for him and his family. Such that now he did run, but also he had the opportunity to bring his family into the experience as well. We've done that for couples that are not really looking to wed yet, but they're just dating. So they're looking for a quiet post-event rest experience. So they've run the adrenaline of running, and now they're looking for, how do we now find an experience that allows us to unwind, you know, and rest and things like that. So we've created such activities as well, whether it's a candlelit dinner in Queen Elizabeth. It has very beautiful luxury lodges that sometimes you have elephants outside your facility or lions just lying around close by. And so we've had the opportunity to organize some of those experiences, post-event recovery experiences for runners that come for such events. The one thing that we have done, though, that I'd like to share is that the last time we were supposed to have this podcast on 9th July, I think, we put out this flyer about the podcast, and it was postponed. But we had a couple reach out to us and tell us, I've seen you on a flyer and we're planning a wedding in October. Would like for you to curate our honeymoon package in Kisoro. Now, Kisoro is, yes. Kisoro is known for the gorillas. Apparently, half of the gorillas in the world are in Uganda. So there is gorilla trekking that happens here. So they were like, we like to do gorilla trekking. We like to have a honeymoon, but we like for you to curate it for us, And so for me, while that was not necessarily tied to a sporting event, I feel like it has given us the opportunity to now transfer our experience in organizing travel for sporting communities to now people looking for honeymoon experiences as well.
Yeah. So on that note, we know that you're based in Uganda. What would you say to the couples in North America? Are you able to manage travel for them, honeymoon, other destinations, if it's outside of Africa, all that kind of stuff? Are you able to do that type of travel as well for those people?
Yeah, definitely we're able to do that. We've, like I said, because of what we've been doing, we've built a network of travel agents and travel operators across East Africa, but now we're expanding as well. So what that means is that while we are physically based here, we do have agents or partners that we partner with outside Uganda as well. We've worked with travel agents coordinating travel for Tanzanians coming, for Zimbabweans coming, for South Africans coming for the marathon. So those kinds of travel operators now become a resource that we work with to now also organize experiences that are outside Uganda where we are, outside East Africa where we reach, but also outside the continent as well.
What would you say would be for a North American, a great honeymoon? What would be your number one choice for them to explore?
What would be, I don't like to be generic. I like to be specific because I realize that no two travelers are the same.
Sure.
And no two couples are the same either, right? But I'll probably speak to what Uganda has to offer. I've already spoken to the gorilla marathon, rather the gorilla experience. Marathons are in my head. I've already spoken to the gorilla experience, which we like to say is a once in a lifetime experience. You come close to the primates in their natural habitat, which is windy impenetrable national forest. But also you have the opportunity to meet what we call the Batwa people. They were originally people that lived and thrived in the forest. But around 1990, they were forced to leave the forest because then it was gazetted as a national park and things like that. And their experiences about how they lived in the forest, how they gathered food, how they made fire is something that is literally a story out of the books. You literally watch them make a fire just by rubbing sticks in their hands. And I feel like we've only read that in the books. And it's something that I would love for them to experience. And then there's what we call the Lake Bunyonyi experience, which is largely for the birding community, but also those that are looking to layer their romance or their experience with a historical experience. Lake Bunyonyi is a lake that has about 29 islands, and each island has a unique story of its own. Okay, one that stands out is what we call the Punishment Island, which ideally is said to be an island where girls that fell pregnant out of wedlock were thrown to starve and die, because then they had brought shame to their communities and things like that. So having to experience that on a dugout canoe on the lake is something that I don't think you could find anywhere else. It is something that you'd have to experience yourself to be able to tell it to another person. Right. So you'd combine that and have them. We also have one of the most powerful waterfalls in the world, which is the Makshan Falls waterfalls in Makshan Falls National Park. It goes through a very narrow gorge, and standing against it makes you realize how small you are and how insignificant you can be against what nature has to offer, and yet somehow we coexist with it and enjoy this beauty that happens around it and things like that. So there is a layering of different experiences. If you are the kind that loves history, then you have that to offer. If you're the kind that loves wildlife and safari, you would have the game drives in Queen Elizabeth, in Wendy, and things like that. If you're the kind that loves cultural experiences and food, Uganda, for example, is home to about 56 tribes, and that means 56 cultural experiences. Yeah, 56 cultural experiences, different foods, different languages, different dress codes, different passages or rites of passages and things like that. And I mean, if you love food like I do and you like to sample food, you'd eat until you drop. I feel like you'd eat until your palate will be like, okay, we're done. It's okay. I get you, and things like that. So there is a whole lot to combine together. You could do one, or you could actually have a cocktail of all those experiences, have a wildlife on the side, have a culture experience on the side, have a farm to cup, because then we have communities that actually do a farm to cup coffee experience. So now you're able to go through the entire process of how your coffee comes from the farm to your cup right there. Okay, and sometimes we see coffee in sachets or in containers, and we never really know where this comes from. So being a part of the experience itself helps you understand, first of all, the work that goes into creating that coffee, but also the communities that are involved in doing that. It gives you a completely different understanding, but also helps you understand what value you create by either purchasing that coffee as well. It could help you realign your value systems, and your perspectives generally. So I would say that there are a number of things. There are waterfalls if you are the waterfalls kind. You like to go chasing waterfalls across the globe. There are literally waterfalls, big, small, medium, across this country that, what can I say? It's a whole lot. It's a whole lot.
If someone is planning their wedding and they want to have a destination wedding, they're not sure where, what is the very first thing that you should advise them to do?
The first thing I would advise them to do is ask yourself, what is the feeling you want to experience? What is the mood? Is it an adventure? Is it a spiritual kind of experience? Is it a cultural depth? Do you just want to rest and relax? Because once you have defined the feeling, it helps us to now choose the location, because different locations evoke different emotions, right? So it's important that the first thing you do is understand, what mood am I in for this? What feeling do I want to experience when I travel to this particular place? And once you've defined that, then now we can decide your location, rather the location, and tie it to what value systems do you have? Okay, what are your passions? What are the things that excite you? What are the things you want to experience and whatnot? So then we create activities or an itinerary that speaks to your mood, speaks to your values, and creates an experience that is an unforgettable one for you.
Sounds great. So we know that there's trends in weddings. Is there a trend for right now for destination weddings? What is like a very popular destination that everyone is raving about?
I think that the ones that are, first of all, I'd like to mention that I feel like travel generally has changed a bit. So people are no longer just traveling to destinations. Okay, they're looking for something that is meaningful to them. Yeah, something that aligns with what they believe in, something that aligns with what their values are, and something that allows them to create impact. Of course, the places that are still top on the list are places like Bali, places like Italy, places like Greece and Santorini. That, I mean, because of the allure and the luxury and the cultural experiences and generally the feeling that it gives. What I see as a rising trend, especially in East Africa, is like I said, trends like combining your experience with impact, for example, right? So people want to travel and probably meet a community of women coffee farmers, right? So that then they're able to now not just stay locked away in their rooms, but get to understand what the lives of these women are and what they can contribute to their lives as well. There are now people who would like to travel to places like Kabale, like I said, on Lake Punyonye, and find out, layer their story with a historical arrangement or something that happened in history, and understand where we've come, where this particular category of people have come from, for example, like the people in Kigezi who live there. So you do travel for a honeymoon, but then now you get to understand, where have the people of Kigezi come from all this while? What influences the way they live, what they believe, and how they relate to people, right? So then that helps them to now understand how to blend in and things like that. So there are people who travel and marry their travel with conservation, because we live in an era of climate change and eco-conscious travel and sustainability and things like that. And so there is a lot of travel that is now wrapping around the concept of conservation, the concept of sustainability, the concept of eco-conscious travel. So now people are looking for eco-conscious accommodations. Okay, people that are using, that are conscious about climate change. Okay, what kind of buildings, materials are you using? How do you dispose waste? Are you recycling the waste and things like that? So people are not just saying, oh, I want to go, just book me a hotel and things like that. These questions are being asked. And sometimes people will not book unless it aligns with their values of, if they do not take care of the environment, we're not booking their place. You know, like that. Yeah.
That's great to hear. What about people who are conscious about their budget? What would you advise for them? Well, we're on a budget. We just want to still have a honeymoon or a destination wedding, but we have a budget to follow. What are ways that they can stay within that budget?
It's actually pretty doable. We like to think that destination weddings are for the wealthy or for those that are ultra rich, but I realize that that might not necessarily be the case, because in this case, you're planning for a smaller group. So you're a lot more intentional and a lot more conscious about your planning and your spending as well. Now, for places like Uganda, for example, you literally have a luxury experience for budgets. You know, you basically get the entire experience for a fraction of the price. Okay, because what we do as Lamara is we negotiate the rates, for example, so that what we do is basically cater to every single budget track. Is it budget range, really, not budget traveler? If you are the budget traveler, or you are the mid-range traveler, or you are the luxury traveler, there are facilities that cater to each and every budget tier. Okay, the accommodation facilities are basically reflect what your budget is, and they deliver the experience. They deliver the unforgettable stories as well, without you necessarily having to break the bank. The gorilla experience, for example, is only $800 in Uganda per person, right? So you literally can do that without necessarily breaking the bank. And you'd have a story to tell another person who hasn't probably even seen a gorilla before, you know, and you tell them, I actually came close to them and took pictures of them and things like that. And that's really a fraction of the price. So yes, it is possible to have a destination wedding and have a luxurious experience for a fraction of the budget, especially if you're doing Uganda, East Africa as well.
Okay. And how can couples get in touch with you?
They could get in touch with me via WhatsApp, Or, which is the easiest one, is my Instagram, which is Sharon Amono. Or they could send us an email on info.lamaratravelz, the letter N, bookings@gmail.com.
Okay, and for those watching or listening, we will post those on the website as well as YouTube, so you can easily reach out to her. Thank you so much for coming on today. I was so glad we were able to reschedule. You make that experience something I'm sure everyone is going to be curious about. Good luck with the rest of your business. Once again, it's Loretta Sternowski from Got Spouse Need House. We're a real estate organization. We deal with couples all over the globe and match them with a realtor to help their needs. And when you are ready to buy or sell a property, you get the bonus of 10% credit from the realtor's commission to make your life a little pleasant after your expenses from a wedding. And when you get back from your luxurious, interesting vacation destination wedding in Uganda, then you'll be ready to settle down and in your new home.
Thank you, Loretta, for having me, and thank you everyone for staying until now. We look forward to crafting those unforgettable experiences for you.
So much.
Yes.
Bye-bye.